Love podcast, hey nonsense, it's the PoliticsJOE podcast!
Woo! Hey! Not gonna lie, it's quite a lot for this early in the morning.
We were in a pub last night and I don't feel great.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ed. I went and did the papers last night.
Yeah, sorry. The official line is Ava was not in a pub last night.
Yeah.
I was, and I had a Morley's on the way home and I feel
Did
dreadful.
a Morley's?
Yeah.
What's your Morley's order?
Fuck, it was stupid. I ate it, I was like, this is too much food.
What?
I had three pieces of
Three
chicken,
whole chickens.
3 whole chickens, 3 pieces of chicken and chips, and 4 spicy wings as well.
That's quite nice.
But it was also so much. I was sitting like gluttonous.
That's the one thing I get very upset about not eating chicken is I really do crave that, like spicy wings or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can
There's no
never get.
alternative.
No, you can get like a fake chicken.
But it's not going to have skin.
You see, when you say that, you said it like that, and now I immediately don't ever want it again.
Yeah, I think that's the distinction between like the real heads, the real meat heads.
Well, I've been off meat now for about 13 years, so maybe I should eat it and just see what happens.
Do it here.
Yeah, on camera.
Tell you what, vegetarian eats meat for the first time in X number of years is a really good YouTube headline.
Yeah, also a bit perverted, isn't it?
Eat a steak, like a rare steak.
A rare one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would happen?
I don't know, you probably have appropriate iron levels for the first time in 13 years.
Yeah, my iron levels are fine. But anyway, yeah, I actually am really tired today.
I haven't fainted in hours.
Anyway, a stonking.
What an absolute stonking victory for the Labour Party in the true by-elections last night. I'm going to stop doing that voice.
There were loads of good lines out this morning. There was one reporter who was like, you should never be superfluous about these results.
What does that
But today you should.
Right, okay, so for context, if somehow you haven't seen, the Tories have completely shat it. They've shat the bed. Labour are having a party in their own house.
Yeah.
They've won Mid Bedfordshire and Tamworth. Unthinkable that Labour would have ever won these seats.
Biggest numerical majority in any UK by-election since 1945.
1945.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Since the Second World War.
Oh my God.
So Labour have the Tories' trousers down in their own home and they're making them do a funny dance.
Yeah?
And it's embarrassing. This is embarrassing for them.
Is it?
They should be mortified by this.
It's not it's not quietly enjoyable.
No. I think this is actually enjoyable for who?
Well, I don't know, the dance.
The no, it's humiliating.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a humiliating dance.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. They'd be like, they've had a party and someone won't leave and they're too shy to make them leave.
Oh, that's a really nice way of putting it.
I think it's a story someone had told me about. They had a party at school without their parents and they invited the cooler kids from another school and the cooler kids just refused to leave in the morning. They were there doing drugs all night.
What? And then the guy was like,
and the guy was like, please, can you go? I was like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you want to get into my mum's bed?
It was things like that. They were like, I think it was one of these horrible stories about they took the goldfish out the bowl and shit like that and trashed, pulled radiators off the wall.
What?
And stuff like that. As an adult, you're like, that is
unbelievable.
But as a child, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Do you know, I once went to a party when we were 16 and this is so bad, this is really dark. Someone threw her grandmother's ashes into the pond. What?
That's not good. Yeah, that's not good.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You really shouldn't have done that. No, that is a really true. I haven't thought about that in years, actually.
That is bad.
Yeah, that went round. That story was now infamous for years afterwards because it was like, what the fuck?
There was a boy in my year who, every time his parents went away, he had a party and it got so out of hand. But it happened 6 or 7 times, and the parents were always furious. But at that point, stop going away and leaving your son there.
Yeah. To put your son somewhere else, in a kennel, obviously. Anyway, should we talk about the by-election?
Yes, probably. So, shall we talk about Mid Beds?
Yeah.
Mid Beds, Labour overcame a 24,664 votes majority, winning the seat for the first time with a swing of 20.5% to win.
Huge.
Huge.
Only needed 19% to win. Swing. First time it hasn't been Tory since 1937. Nadine Dorries, no peerage, no seat. Nothing. Nothing.
Leaving absolutely empty-handed. You were in Mid Beds
Yeah.
this week.
Yesterday, in fact.
Oh, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, quite when you're, overturning a stonking majority. Yes, do you know, I was talking to Harry, the videographer, and I was like, we have to find a Tory voter, have to find one. And we really couldn't find any at all. And I think, so a lot of we were in the towns, and in the towns, typically where it's a bit more, bustling, people live a bit more closer together, people vote Labour, right?
Yeah.
That's my stonking analysis for this morning. And then out in the farmlands, out in the shires, that's where people vote Conservative. And that's where the shy Conservatives are, who would have sent in their postal votes and then might have been enticed in the last couple of weeks by various incentives from the Tory party, like we're going to abolish inheritance tax, because those sort of things, voting in their own self-interest. But in the town, every single person we spoke to, Labour voter, which is, extraordinary. And but you know what came up every single time was tactical voting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think there was a small rumbling campaign. The Lib Dems and Labour were both trying to convince voters that they were the second option, that they were the only challengers to the Tory party. And somehow Labour's messaging cut through better than the Lib Dems. And every person we spoke to, they said, I'm taking a gamble. I want to get the Tories out. I'm gambling on Labour.
I think I spoke to this. Did we talk about this on Monday?
Possibly.
They were talking about like cooperation between Labour and Lib Dems. So there was a split vote in like the progressive thing, but the anti-Tory vote was still so large that it didn't matter, which I think is interesting. So, no cooperation in this seat, and Labour still won a seat they weren't supposed to win. It's one of these ones Lib Dems were probably hoping to target. Like there was a narrative by the Lib Dems about like we're the only ones who can win here, despite polling.
In Mid Beds or Tamworth or both?
Mid Beds, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. And what was interesting, so the Lib Dems actually targeted the shires. So Labour really went for the town centres, Ampthill, all over that.
Yeah.
Flitwick, all over it. But the Lib Dems went out and tried to convince the Conservative voters in the farms to vote Tory. To vote Lib Dem.
they're bad at their job.
Yeah. No, why does this keep happening? And I guess it didn't work so well. But then even, the Lib Dems got a lot of votes there.
They did. Yeah. Which not to be sniffed at.
Not to be sniffed at.
It was they were the secondary hosts of the party. It was almost in their honour.
Yeah. But then the candidate Alistair, local guy, his big push.
The Labour, now Labour MP.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Labour MP. I should have
Southern.
contextualised that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a first name basis with these. I don't need
Me
to.
and Al.
Yeah. That's what he said. You can call me
You can call me Al.
Al. Local guy, and that came up with every single voter I spoke to. They were like, well, he actually lives in the constituency. Nadine did not live in the constituency. She moved out years ago, and all of them seem to be aware of that. Also, just as a little aside, we saw Tommy Robinson.
Gosh.
Who lives there, apparently.
That's interesting.
He's doing up £1 million house.
Are we doxing Tommy Robinson?
Is that doxing?
I guess so.
It's on Hope Not Hate. It's online.
Okay, so we're directing people to even more specific information.
Is that doxing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'd never talk about where we live.
Sean, when you edit this, and Laura, when you edit this, you can...
we can all check.
You can make a
Let's
decision.
reveal... I'm going to read out your address.
Tell me about Tamworth.
Yeah, the point you made about struggling to meet a Conservative, someone who's going to vote Conservative, actually, I had the exact same thing. Lots of people said they weren't going to vote, and people said they didn't know who they were going to vote for. But I don't think I spoke to anyone who was intending to vote Conservative, which is interesting.
Why do you think that is? Because they're shy, or...?
No, I think they just hadn't made their mind. I think because... I don't know, as in... I think they just knew they weren't going to vote Conservative. They hadn't yet decided who was going to receive the vote, which I think maybe speaks to the wider trend of people say, oh, Labour are only winning because the Tories are unpopular. But as Duncan Robinson from The Economist made the point, own goals still count.
Right.
Like, does that, like, ultimately that will still lead to Labour being in power?
Yeah. Do you think, okay, Greg Hands was out on the morning
Mr.
rounds
Hands.
this morning. Mr. Hands.
Nah.
It's a really niche reference. I wonder if anyone will get that.
Don't Google.
Mr. Hands was out on the the broadcast round this morning, and his argument was Labour didn't actually win.
Shut up!
It's so ridiculous. He was like, well, if you look at the numbers, you know, this is one of the worst turnouts for Labour they've ever seen. It was like, you didn't win. Labour have taken 2 true blue seats here, and somehow they've lost.
That must be quite fun to be like, just lie through your teeth.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh no, this is actually terrible for Labour. As in, everything Labour have ever wanted is coming true.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
Yeah.
It's like when people's like, when people win the lottery and people are like, people who win the lottery actually tend to go bankrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. They're actually really miserable.
Yeah, they're actually, as they're like, they're driving around in 3 Lamborghinis.
Look how unhappy he is.
Look how unhappy he is.
He's not fulfilled.
Absolutely not.
But, oh God, what was I going to say? It was a good one as well. What were we saying before that?
Tamworth, Shy Tories, who are they going to vote for?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, Robert Buckland was out on the former Justice Secretary. He was out also on the broadcast round this morning, and he called it how it is. He was like, this is very bad. this is very bad.
This is dreadful.
We should probably start listening to the voters. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what came up actually, maybe we'll play a couple of the voxes now from Mid Beds, because what was interesting was how often Partygate still comes up.
Yeah.
It's constant. Have a listen.
May I ask how you voted this morning?
I voted Labour. I think this last 13 years it's just wrecked us entirely. And it can't be down to anybody else but the incumbents. They won't change themselves, so I'll cross fingers that Labour are a better option.
Me and my family said that we would vote tactically. We voted Labour because from everything that's been suggested, it looks like Labour are the best current candidate to beat the Tories. So that seems like the most tactical vote to us.
Labour, definitely Labour. Alistair has been really active around the town. I met him a couple of times. He's a really sound bloke. So yeah, going to go Labour. We need to get Tories out.
So it's not just a protest vote, you like the candidate as well?
Yeah, Alistair, yeah, he seems really sound. He's from the area. He's been working really hard. So yeah, I think he deserves to go.
And you weren't tempted by the Lib Dems?
No, I would be if I thought they were going to be the second, like a tactical vote, but Labour is looking best place to beat the Tories, so I'll vote for them.
Right.
Yeah, it's. I think regardless of. Well, it's one thing, you can't really argue to be the candidate of change if you've been in power for 13 years anyway. But also, if you're still part of the government, if you're part of the government that oversaw Partygate, etc., that is like that will live long in the political memory. Where people still talk about Gordon Brown sold the gold, and people still talk about that Treasury.
Liam
Byrne's Treasury note.
Not to be confused with Ian Byrne.
No, very different.
Which I have actually done before.
Have you?
Do you not know about this?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe I should tell this story. One time I was trying to talk to Ian Byrne, and I was texting Liam Byrne. And Sean was like, do you mean to be texting Liam Byrne? I was like, no.
Yeah,
no, I don't.
Very specific Liverpool questions.
I was, yeah.
That's very funny.
He was doing his best to answer them as well.
Good for him. That's good.
But, you know, these are two, or back to the by-election, these are two really organic contests. Nadine Dorries, former Culture Secretary, served under Boris Johnson, disgraced her constituents by holding on to her seat, not doing anything for the people who live there, but just holding out in hopes of getting a peerage. And then Chris Pincher, who brought down the government for his alleged sexual misconduct.
Yep.
So you've got two MPs there, situations that were widely reported in the press, widely discussed. Enough discontent there, I think, to really rattle the people who live in those areas.
Yeah, because you just wouldn't want someone like that to be your member of parliament.
No. But, you know, And also, Partygate coming up is interesting because Nadine Dorries was part of that government, right? So she was the embodiment of the COVID government, even though she might not have been done for being at any of the parties. She did defend Boris Johnson relentlessly.
She still would. She still would. Do you think Nadine would like to come on the podcast?
She might, One thing I respect about Nadine, she will do an interview.
One thing I admire about her hunger for media attention.
What we could do is do like I'm a Celebrity based challenges.
And just eat various.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
Sorry, I thought a lot of things there. I don't know. What's the weirdest thing?
I suppose if you don't eat meat, then there's actually quite a very limited.
I did once eat. My friend is a food PR.
Mm-hmm.
This was like 6 years ago, and we went to a Mexican restaurant in London Bridge where we had guacamole with crickets on it.
I've had crickets as
You
well.
like- do
I
you
had
like
crickets in Vietnam. Yeah, I bought bizarrely in Glasgow once in the Sainsbury's near the St Enoch Centre for my Glasgow heads. There was at the till. There was a packet of crickets you could buy.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, I'll try these.
Did you?
Yeah, so I bought them, and then I was like, this is fine. But I
Is
had
it
them in
like a
Vietnam
pork
as well.
scratching?
Kind of, yeah. I've also eaten horse as well. I had horse in Bulgaria.
Yeah, same, but unintentionally.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, it was
Did you
all
get
in the
one of those
Tesco
lasagnas?
meal deals when we were kids, weren't we? My mum used to make pie and liquor. It's like a really thin pie, and then it's got parsley sauce in it with
it's
mashed
a real,
potato,
like, London thing.
lots of vinegar. And you buy like the Tesco's value ones because they're like the best ones for it, and they're for like 14 pence for 4. They were back then. And then, like that storybook being like, huh, these are made of horse.
Yeah, fucking no wonder.
And like, I think my mum at the time was like, oh, I'm glad there was actually some meat in that.
So per pie, that's less than 4 pence per pie.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Jesus. Should we talk
Delicious.
about politics again?
Yeah, sure.
So
Boring.
I think no one should be surprised by these results, kind of given polling since Truss. This has been the trajectory of the Conservative Party, and Labour are on for a stonking majority.
Yeah, that's what John Curtis said this morning, isn't it? Polling extraordinaire.
Yes.
He said that these results could indicate that Labour are in for larger landslide? What's the verb for a landslide getting bigger?
Heavier, more destructive landslides.
Yeah, than the 97 Blair
Gee whiz.
victory. So.
I've been saying gee whiz a lot. I don't like it.
Gee whiz.
Oh, I sound ridiculous. Friend of Paul Joe, John Elledge, had a really good quote yesterday, which actually is actually maybe, I'm not sure how applicable it is now that they've won.
Yeah.
But he was talking about even if the Tories had won these 2 seats, that it was still still actually quite bad for the Tories. He made the point, I'm just going to read out his tweet. This reminds me of a great thing I once read in a history of ancient Egypt, that you can tell when things are going badly for a dynasty, because even though they never record defeats, the glorious victories keep getting closer and closer to the capital. As in, why are they having to defend their heartlands? Why are their heartlands under threat? And they lost them.
He's such a dork, isn't he?
No, that was great.
I love him.
I'm not
No,
called
I
John.
love him.
You
I
can call
love
him a
how
dork.
nerdy he is.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it's like, what the hell do they do now? How are they going to defend? There's nowhere that they can confidently say this is going to be Tory through and through.
Well, I think Starmer's still cautious, isn't he? Well, this morning he said, this shows that there's no such thing as a safe seat left anymore for the Conservatives, and I think he's completely right.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the polling, to be 20 points ahead with an election not even called yet, that is quite a precarious position to be in, because it's not necessarily that people might now decide to change their vote or they might vote tactically against Labour. It's turnout, right? So if you are, I don't know, like an ambivalent voter, and you're like, well, I'd quite like to get the Tories out, wouldn't mind Labour being in, polling looks like they will, I'll just stay at home.
Yeah.
And if too many people do that, Labour don't win.
No, but then, but I think closer to the election, like people are want change so bad. I think
They need to make them seething.
Yeah, you need to I think people are seething as well. People I think people are just really unhappy. without, like, regardless of wherever you go, like in Tamworth. Tamworth was actually quite representative of every small town kind of I've been to in England in the past kind of year, where people are just like, yep, High Street's shit. I've lived here forever. It's shit. Nothing here works. The country is shit. I want shit. Like, people are fucking furious about the state of the country, and I think that's quite a strong impetus. And they know, and that people aren't stupid. They know whose fault it is. They know who's been in power for 13 years.
God, but do you know what makes me so sad about hearing that is I'm like, yes, everyone wants change. And then we're going into a potential government that will not spend to make the change.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be good if there was like a
free money.
Free money for you know how Ollie does like stupid like quotes when he does Love Podcast, nonsense, and like lick the stamp and send it. I chickened out of doing one, but there's a line from there's a band like Los Campesinos, and there's a line, it won't get better. It doesn't mean it's going to get any worse, which is quite like I think it's quite apt about the Labour Party. That's
an interesting rewrite of the hit D:"Ream.
Yeah,
things can only get better.
Like, but as in, like, it won't get better, but it won't get worse.
Well, there we go.
But actually, I find that oddly cheering, that sentiment.
Jesus Christ.
Like, we've bottomed out.
Sorry.
He's laughing at bottoming.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Cool. I was, okay. It's been a long night. There is, I wonder how Reform did. I didn't even look, actually.
I will look. Mid-Beds, 3.7%, and Tamworth, 5.4%. Did better than UKIP in Tamworth, and did better than the Green Party in Mid-Beds.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see any Greens out and about campaigning, actually.
No. Well, I was in Tamworth, so they weren't standing, so that's why I didn't.
You know, Tamworth is the most interesting constituency, I think, out of the two of them to overturn, because it was such a Leave voting area. It was such a Brexit area.
Because I think that Cleave is perhaps is not going to be as much of a division. Because think about, for the last election, that's all that happened in Parliament for like 5 years.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, deal, no deal. Like, it was all, that was just the news that governments were falling. And I don't think people are as interested anymore.
Yeah, now they're like, food or no food.
Eat or eat. Eat or eat.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, have you got any more thoughts about?
No, I'm happy with that. Are you?
Yeah, I just kind of want to emphasise again, this result is a fucking stinker for the Tories. And people are like, I think if you're saying otherwise, get your head out your arse.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
It really is.
Like, imagine, how can this be bad for Labour? Imagine that's your job.
Imagine what's your job, to defend it?
Yeah, come on.
You made quite a good joke before we got on here about the lottery.
Did I say? I thought I said that on here.
Did we say? No, I think we did it before, didn't we?
Oh, no, I thought of it before, and then I said it on. I did say that.
Oh, we covered it.
I said the thing about the Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
That was.
Shawnee, did we do that on the podcast?
I'm not sure. Shawnee doesn't listen. Shawnee doesn't listen to the podcast. I did say it on the podcast.
Shawnee is the sixth member of our team.
Yes, Shawnee is
sixth and final
production extraordinaire. Yeah, Sean and Laura didn't fancy coming in today.
No, Shawnee did though.
Shawnee did, and this wouldn't be happening without. So everyone, drop a comment for Shawnee.
When she came in, Ed and I were already sitting in our seats with no lights on, and then like,
cameras,
just sitting here like
genuinely cameras not turned on.
No, we were like, she was like, "Is there anything on?" No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, help us.
The audience needs this. Anything else?
No, nice one.
Yeah, nice. Thanks everyone for listening. I just wanted to give a shout out to Alex Roberts.
Yeah.
Alex Roberts has been a long-time colleague at Joe for 6 years. He's kind of made it his pioneered the kind of like fight sport content that we do on our other channels, and he's moving on to pastures new, and we're going to really miss him. But so drop some love for Alex in the comments.
Or maybe go and watch his boxing stuff as well. Have a little look.
Yeah. Look at Fight Joe.
If you subscribe to the Dominic Cummings School of Thought, then everything is wrestling.
Absolutely.
Politics is wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah, so shout out Alex, and thanks everyone for listening and watching. We will see you next week.